The day we stepped onto the boat, we were so excited. We couldn't believe that this was our new life. We said we were going to do something crazy, and we actually did it. Although tired, we were full of joy. But the previous owner who welcomed us aboard did say to us, "Remember this feeling. Remember that this is why you're here doing this. Because when you live on a boat, you won't always feel like this. Life can be hard out here." My transition onto the boat was not an easy one. Not only were we uprooting our life from van to a boat anchored remotely with very little experience, I had a new 4-month-old baby, and Landon was returning to work full time again since our son was born. There have been many tough days where there seemed as though there was no upside to this way of life. I've had to almost forget the things I enjoyed in my previous life and learn what I love about this one. Here are the top 4 things that have made boat life as a new mom challenging. 1. Politics. There's nothing worse than feeling unwelcome in your own home. We quickly found out that there's a general distaste for people who live on their boats where we are anchored. Issues have risen for us, including finding a slip for our skiff and being able to attain water. We have been treated in instances as undeserving, and I will go as far as to say we've been discriminated against for how we choose to live. Living on a boat is much less private than living in a van where you can simply relocate by driving down the road. There are only limited service available that we must rely on. It is such a disheartening experience to feel as though you are unwelcome in your own community, and probably the biggest reason I felt regret for moving onto the boat. As a new mom, life is challenging and tiring enough without extra resistance at the docks. 2. Weather. Sometimes it's just cold and damp and windy. You spend the day rocking in the wind all day, and it's exhausting. You're stiff from nursing all day and all night, and you just dread moving around the damp boat. It somehow makes a hard day feel even harder. The other limiting factor of weather is the wind and its effect on venturing into town. Wind makes docking and undocking extremely difficult in the skiff and extra stressful with a baby that needs attention. There are many times I've planned to go into town, but the wind picks up to 30 kilometers an hour and I choose to stay home. I wasn't anticipating so much wind, and so far this summer, I'm told it's been the most windy one in many years. Number 3, Landon being back to work full time. Another challenge on the boat, but really would have been anywhere, was Landon returning to work full time. I think that transition of being with baby alone is enough without the added factor of managing the upkeep of a boat, keeping track of solar usage, unpacking, cleaning the teak decks. Some days seriously felt impossible and that I'd never be able to unpack or settle in. Thankfully, the days have gotten easier for the most part. Much like the van, there's always chores to be done. I had to change my expectations and go a little easier on myself. I now focus on one thing at a time. Since the boat needs so much attention, Landon often returns from 12 hours away and then goes straight into boat work. This has also been tough, as it feels as though sometimes the baby is not a shared responsibility. 4. Isolation from land. I really miss my daily walks on land with Honey, driving to a park and getting some exercise in. The boat has so many added factors to leaving it, such as being limited to the small dog park available in town, wind, timing my departures so that the baby is able to tolerate the boat trip while being in his stuffy life jacket, and available docking space. It can feel like I'm stuck here on this floating island a lot of the time, and I don't like that I'm unable to move my body the way I did when we lived in the van. But it's my hope that as time passes, this too will become easier, and I'll be able to establish a routine that I'm able to incorporate more land movement in. Until then, Honey has been getting daily swims from our swim platform, and I've tried to be gentler on myself about this stage of postpartum and the challenges that come with it, compounded with the boat limitations. Living on the boat has been incredible and yet has felt so extremely impossible at times. I've really learned how important it is to soak in the amazing moments to carry me through the dark ones. I'm slowly beginning to find the small things that bring me satisfaction in this way of life, and thankfully the days have been a little brighter. Looking back at that video was kind of difficult to watch. It was a really rough transition onto the boat, and I'm very much still going through the transition in the boat, but it has gotten brighter and a little lighter, and we're getting into the routine of things, which has helped a lot. We transitioned onto the boat. Landon went back to work full time, so it was just me here alone with the baby, probably around the 4-month sleep regression as well. So it was a particularly tricky time when a lot of things kind of needed to get done, but I wasn't able to, and I was just struggling on top of wind, rain, and cold. So we'll see how this winter goes and if I kind of head back in that direction again. But it was really tough. It was really tough, and I was miserable and super regretting this whole decision. Just being isolated from parks and walking, and the ability to be out. Walking was such a huge part of my life when I was pregnant and before that. Yeah, it's a little hard to watch that. I know that now I don't feel that way. It was just kind of a gradual getting out of it and learning different systems that were going to help me feel better. Luckily, I've enjoyed the majority of my summer, and it's not so much Landon's coming home and I've had another rough day. So, yeah. Thanks for watching my video. All of your views and your thumbs up help support me so I can make more videos for you. And if you're a mom out there struggling in the postpartum, know that you're not alone. Hopefully, it will pass just like it passed for me.